There's one building on the, you're coming in on the left, going back to the other right, with the gas pump in here. Yeah. That's the oldest building.
Where's everybody else?
Left.
Wow. Gather everybody together again.
It's just amazing. I'll ask, travel from city to city and make recommendations. If you get feedback from cities,
Sunnyside restaurant where they make the Sunnyside chocolate cream pies.
You know, with the budget, the expenses, it's free to leave it like it is. It costs money to make it safer. You know,
Well,
there's a trade-off.
Each city makes its own decision on how fast it wants to catch up to correct for not being walkable and so on. But those cities that are making the changes are biting the bullet and finding the money, bonding, whatever it takes to see where they're going to go. They are attracting the new jobs. And just some examples, small towns like Bend, Oregon, really becoming very walkable. And that's where our children want to live. They want to live where it's now livable and walkable. So those towns that are making the investments now have better budgets than those that are saying we can't afford it and therefore aren't doing it, right? So the hospital's straight ahead, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, let's see a few more things and then get into where we can talk in a cooler environment. Is that okay? Okay. Hey, we didn't lose that many. We always feel good if we keep at least half of our. Yeah. So, what did you think? Was it helpful? Yeah. To walk and talk together and see what your opportunities are. You know, I want to just start by saying you have one of the best size, scale, most pleasant communities I've had the chance to work in. I really like how quiet and, you know, people seem to know one another. I don't know how much you had to pay each of the kids to come by, but that was an extra treat. I mean, and to have the botanical gardens right here, you know, you can always go and enjoy the gardens and things like that. But I think we saw, and I think I'm being fair, that the state doesn't do as good of a job as the county and the city, right? Yeah, and well, the city's doing a good job. I really think if we could get the state to do more of the things that the city, county, DTS is doing, it would be far more walkable, right? The areas that are more pleasant for walking. Now I mean, just take guardrail, for example. Why does the state decide that pedestrians aren't important? Where the city, county has decided, no, they're important. We're going to put the guardrail in correctly. So, you have some opportunities to create beautiful gateways into town to slow the traffic. Your lanes are already pretty tight, so you know you can't pick up on that. But boy, did we ever see some places to put in bike lanes, and that would slow the travel speeds down a lot and make the road safer for everybody, right? Okay, so now the police officers are back, so we have to behave again.
He's right behind you.
I know.
Fully armed.
I'm watching you, mister.
But, yeah. What I can share with you, and if we want to expand on this, we can get into this topic, is that the city council. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you. Who did this for us? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. What we can say is that the city council and your mayor, Kirk Caldwell, are all truly focused on livability and completing the streets. And because this administration, they want to resurface all of the roads, this is your chance to make any changes in the roadway traffic lane assignments and time to make each road safer. And truly to work with DTS and others to take advantage of the fact that that money is being spent in a very positive way. It's also important for us to point out that through both the State Department of Health and the collaboration with the City Council, our service has been very helpful to get 3 cities already identified with some demonstration projects. So your community was added on for the visit, but when we do the more intensive work, we come in, we do workshops and training and identify projects. And in this case, the first 3 communities, they're using actual demonstration monies to make some changes. And we also heard the Breen Haramoto say that they're going to look to put $5 million in the project for next year to do good demonstration projects for complete streets, right? So these are all good things. And with your leadership in your community, I think you can start to express how important this is to you, certainly through the state legislature, certainly through the Hawaii DOT, but also with DTS. Let them know that you'd really like to get demonstration projects going. And also safe routes to school. And do you want to share with us a little bit about what's going on with the safe routes to school, Lola?
I think we're trying to find out what's going on with it. So HB 2626 was passed last year, and so I have the HRS with me. So I'll give it to Representative Cheryl because he'll understand what I'm talking about. So there's surcharges collected for $10 a violation that was added, and that goes into a special fund for safe routes to school. And the Department of Transportation's director is administrator of those funds. Those funds are available at the county level for the schools to implement safe routes to school programs. And so the DOT also has federal SRTS, safe routes to school dollars that can be used for infrastructure change. So now we've got 2 means of funding, and especially with this state special fund, it's supposed to come to the county and the school level. And so I did ask Councilman Fukunaga to look into it, and also Representative Ono was at a meeting this week. But the more I think our legislators and councilmen know about it, then perhaps the more we might also become aware at our community level the opportunities. Because I used to walk to school and walk home. But that was despite not having the safety features, because Kaneohe is lacking sidewalks. But back then we had the perception of safety, and besides which my parents would not drive me anywhere anyway. So this is a great opportunity.
Is there a distance from the school that this money would end?
That's a good point, and that's something that we'd have to find out from Department of Transportation if they put in any administrative rules, because this doesn't actually state it. It's for the pathway to school.
Because if you played that out with all the elementary schools and then the high school and the middle school, you could actually have safer streets because people are walking from Whitmore into the middle school, or the elementary schools are walking the whole. Can they be combined? Is that?
Like connectivity? Yeah, connectivity. And that's where we actually looked at in Waimanalo, how do we get the kids off of Kalaniana-Ole Highway and using back streets that are neighborhood streets. And so if we connect the residents and that actually becomes a route to school, then our question's going to be, well, isn't that a safe route to school? And that's a question that Wahiawa will be, hopefully be asking.
We have a little different, sorry, I don't mean to monopolize it, but because we have military training area or military land, some of their land is vacant or open land that could be used then for a bike path or community or children walking. So if you're going to the middle school and you live on Ojai or Lower California, maybe this is a route or the bike path or that could also be used. So these things could all be kind of tied together.
Joint land use agreements. Yes.
That would make things a whole lot safer.
Yes. A safe corridor for kids.
Well, very good. So any thoughts, questions, ideas that came up during the walk that now that we're cooling down that you'd like to share?
Should we go around and have everyone?
Yeah, why don't we just go around? Do you want to go first?
A highlight, something learned,
Yeah.
a question.
Actually, I'll just ask the question again that I asked you out there where everyone can hear. All these suggestions, and he's gone around to 4,000 plus cities. Everything costs money, you know, and it costs money to be safer. My question was, you know, have you gotten feedback from prior, you know, visited cities that implemented these, you know, changes?
Yeah.
And what's been the benefit? You know, it's easy to say, no, we don't have the money. You know, this intersection been here for 30 years. Why, you know, stick some more cement in it now?
Yeah.
So what's been your feedback from the cities who have implemented these changes?
Right. A number of case examples of cities that have made the, I'll call it courageous decision to focus spending money on their people as opposed to on their vehicles. The vehicles demand more. They cost a lot more. Just for parking, one parking space alone, if we provide free parking, we're providing, and its surface, it's like $10,000 for a parking space. If it's a garage parking space on this island, it would be somewhere near $60,000. Sometimes twice, 3, 4 times the price of the actual car. If that's free to employees, we're incentivizing building more roads and not adequately covering transit, walking, cycling, and so on. So right now, I would say that the incentives are backwards. We're incentivizing the most expensive thing. And if you look at families that are living on more marginal incomes, then transportation costs can be as high as 30% of their take-home pay, 30%. And so I'd like to start the discussion by saying we're doing what is not at all affordable, at all. If we build communities for walking, bicycling, and good transit, it becomes more affordable for every person in that community, and it becomes more affordable so that the Department of Transportation Services solves traffic congestion because now people have real choice. It sounds so simple that it can't be right, but it's absolutely correct. Anyone who does the math will find out that if you build for the most expensive way to move people, it costs more money, and then you don't have the money to do anything else. So if you just shift gears a little bit, it doesn't have to be all at once. You could do it over a 10-year period of time. But I'll give you a city that did this. It's Vancouver, British Columbia. Today, their budget reads like this. Pedestrians first. Is there any money left over? Yeah. Bicyclists next. Is there any money left over? Yep. Freight. Is there any money left over? No. Where did the cars come in on that? Right? Once they get their walking systems fully functional, bicycling systems, transit systems, then the automobile is given more money. And we're doing just the opposite. You know, it's everything's for the automobile. And hopefully we take care of freight at the same time. Any money left over? Transit. Any money left over? No. So I really like to reverse the numbers and say that if we build to what we care about the most, what we value, it would be about family. It would be about the social life of our communities. It would be about protecting, preserving nature, sustainability, things like that. And eventually we would get down to saying we also care about all forms of mobility. So we are going to put some funds into our automobile systems, but we're not going to necessarily make that the only choice for a family. We're going to do just the opposite. So that's a brilliant question. But I also like to say those cities that have made that switch are now attracting the greatest number of jobs. When you look at even small cities like Bend, Oregon. Bend, Oregon is a hot spot for the youth of America to go to, because the culture is discovered that city is being built for people. You could say the same thing about larger cities like Portland. When the recession hit and kicked in very deep, anyone who didn't have a job that was young moved to Portland. He said, well, if I can't have work, at least I can live in a good place, right? And you'll see that's true in Washington, D.C., New York City. Places that are the most walkable are attracting our youth. And the folks who are elders, who need a good place they can live, where there are going to be a lot of people, where they feel secure and all these things, that's what they also want. There's a great book that I heartily recommend that everyone read called The Rise of the Creative Class. And basically in that book, Richard Florida points out that the agricultural era ended. We're not going to base our national economy on agriculture. We're going to grow food, but not much of our economy is going to be based on agriculture. One time, that was it. The industrial age is coming to an end. The industrial age was next, and that's where anyone who wanted to attract jobs built industrial parks and did things like that. Now that doesn't mean industry will no longer exist, but what the author is saying is now it's the rise of the creative class. The creative class, every profession you can think of that's attracting our youth, they want to be in that creative set, whether it's a journalist, a writer, a computer specialist, whatever. Once you have the creative class want to come to your town to live because they believe that you're creating a place, a good place for them to live, then the service class also goes to those cities too, because those people have money, they want good coffee, they want all the things that a good city has, and also all of your hospital workers, medical care workers, and so on. Anyone who just holds a regular job, our police forces, our firemen, teachers, everyone will go wherever the creative class is, because that's where the jobs are going to be. So that's important. And what you have as an asset here is affordability. And that's a pretty precious asset. So I would say that ties up the economy right there. You build a place, you make your streets very desirable, you attract more jobs, you hold on to your youth, and you'll see a reverse flow. People will come to your city to work because you really do have a good place to live, to work, you know. And with that, you'll identify the construction of a town center, a hardy place. Some of your strips will convert to real village form. Because you still got the authentic rural country here, right? I was expecting to watch cowboys come up. Yeah. Good question.
No, Dan, I just want to thank you for coming, because I think now that you've come out here and literally put us on the map with Lola, thank you very much. This is something that we've been talking about, I think, with many of us, of using our existing assets. Wahiawa is really a diamond in the rough.
It is.
Botanical Garden, Freshwater Park, Jalbert Lands, just a place of being in Wahiawa. I think now that we can we have the political leaders here, Senate leadership here, council leadership here, neighborhood board, community business association, WCB. I think we have all the, the parties here, perfect alignment. with the law enforcement community also, to go forward and something like this. So you coming in and giving your professional assessment, all these places you've been, says a lot and it encourages us. So I want to just thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Lee?
Yeah, I thought the lot brought up a lot of good ideas for future projects for us to work on, and brought up some issues that we weren't aware of.
That's great. Yeah, and truly, folks, I've worked with the Department of Transportation Services now for 14 years, way back under the Jeremy Harris administration. And I get to work with state and city and county DOTs around the country, and you got one of the best. You really do. Good leadership and great talent. Yeah. Heidi?
Oh, that was great. Thanks for sharing your community. I just don't know Wahiawa. Now I feel like I do, and there's some really amazing places here. I love seeing all your kids and people out walking, your bridge, your garden. So I'm excited to see kind of where this might go and how we can sort of be that connector, if possible, bring the dam back and see if we can bring more of your community, get involved in just taking advantage of those opportunities. Yeah.
I'd just like to echo the same president's something that we can definitely consider and work on the interim. Get ready for next session.
Well, I can say I enjoyed the walk and the sharing as we were going along, and I want to repeat a little bit what Marcus said. We got a grant from the National Education Association. I think that's correct. And we got one from the federal government to do an architectural study in Wahiawa. They brought up some of, the focus of that was to try to, have a city center and make it more walkable and livable. The same things you're talking about, and some of the same ideas. And I was really interested when you said maybe a little roundabout there by North Kane Street in California Avenue, because we had talked about the same thing for getting out of Wahiawa, which is a bottleneck at Keelani in California Avenue, to try to build something there to improve the flow of traffic, slow it down, but then still, speed it up as far as throughput. So some of the same things that very, very interesting. Reinforces what people said before, but we never had any money to do anything.
Yeah. And again, don't worry about the money. Build the vision. The money will find its way to you. It will.
I just appreciate the opportunity to be out here with everyone. And being always mindful of the social aspect of it, I saw how everybody talking and walking and how that puts everybody in a better place. So I'm encouraged by what it can do for Wahiawa as a climate too, if we do really follow through, and I'm hopeful that we can follow through on the vision now that everything's in alignment to make Wahiawa just more socially, just more positive, and so I'm excited about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. I think that this is a great opportunity. So thank you, Representative, for and Bill for pulling everyone together. I think what it did for me, you think Wahiawa. I mean, and walking in this format, in this venue, with this group, I actually said you start to think out of the box, and I think that that's a cliche of a term, but you actually do start to look at things when someone points something out, like the guardrail, which. Because I used to always wonder, why don't we have a sidewalk on that side of California? But ding, ding, it's because the guardrail, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, all these years, and it just never. And then when you pointed out that one side is wider, 17 feet, and the other, and I'm thinking, yes, actually you moved everything over. You could have a sidewalk on it. Just such a basic thing that I overlooked, and I think just helping us, this could be what spurs us to just think out of the box and look more creatively, if you will, and architecturally. So I think thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that struck me was not really the walk, was what it was somebody said beforehand about the relationship of the walkability to health issues and to security issues. Those I was just thinking of walkability, but that's really interesting. I mean, it's in the in creating a more livable place to live. It's really interesting.
I want to thank Representative Oshiro because we saw him, it's been several months, you know, where he had the same map that's framed. And we could tell by his enthusiastic description of Wahiawa that he really, really loves this place. And so when we knew that Dan was coming and we saw spots in his itinerary, we reached out and asked Bill, does the representative want us to come here? And so thank you very much. For opening up so we could have Dan here. And then we'll stay in touch because there are other towns that would like to see Dan come back, and Green Harimoto has talked about asking for more county budget funding to bring Danbury back. And so we'll also look at our budget and see how we can, you know, jointly then sponsor Dan being back and provide the opportunity for Wahiawa.
I just wanted to thank you for having me along with your community walk audit. I keep learning something new on every one that I go on from intersection to intersection, and I'm beginning to see how solutions in one community can help solve problems in another community. Lots of examples that can go both ways as far as what works and what doesn't. And again, the connection to the health issues, because part of my passion is fresh food, healthy food accessibility and walkability, getting people more active with their lifestyle. And so for me at the Department of Health, that's where I come from, with safe routes and getting people outside, like how when I grew up.
Officer?
I just want to thank everybody for coming. You know, it was important that you know, we work here and live here in our community every day, but nobody understands, like Marcus, if you don't come to the community, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And we all have, you know, every community has its own problems, and we have our problems, but again, I think if we can get people out of their cars, walking or slowing them down, which actually is going to make their trip faster, like the roundabout. If you put these roundabouts in and you take away the traffic lights, you actually slow them down, but they actually get to their location or their destination a lot quicker than if they have to stop at the lights. So thank you.
Welcome.
I did not go on the walk. I'm not very healthy. But if you want to get healthy, come to our farmer's market. It starts at 4:30, 4:30, 6:30 today at the Hongwon-ji.
Thank you.
It's almost 4 miles, right?
Yeah.
And after the farmer's market, you can go to the Haleakua, Wahiawa District Park for the Mayor's Town Hall meeting at 6:30. You can spend a day in Wahiawa. A day in Wahiawa.
Julie.
You can't say we never do anything.
There you go.
Did you notice anything when you're out taking a walk?
I think it's just awesome to see everybody out here supporting change. That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Samantha?
Yeah, the love, the spirit, and the passion and perseverance is here. I think with political leadership and wide breadth of organizations being represented. So that's part of the walking audits, you know, is a discovery for us to see how the communities are connected and kind of that drive, that energy for change, like Julie said, and you can feel the spirit here. So we're excited to keep our eyes on Wahiawa and to figure out how we can support you guys more.
Well, Wahiawa is a pretty unique town, and it's not like anywhere else being bracketed by the river, and it's built for walking. It's an old plan. But what got me excited is this Safe Routes to School program, because with the schools, how they're spread out, if the stars align, this actually could, you could take care of the whole town, including Whitmore and these kids that have to walk along the highway with no protection to the middle school and to the high school. So that's pretty darn exciting.
Well, I'm happy everybody came and took a walk with us and sharing the experiences and wisdom and everything. So Wahiawa Walkable has been successful today, and thank you very much for coming out, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, folks, I think that really is it. I'll always like to say to a community that most of the work that I do is just validate that you've got the right instincts, you've got the right knowledge of what you should go forward with. And again, don't worry about the money, worry about the vision. Get more people on board, and as you do, the money is going to follow. It really is. So, very grateful that you invited us, that we got to be part of such an important day, and we'll be putting together a little mini report. It won't be like the big ones we do because we just don't have that kind of funding, but with a commitment that we'll be working with Breen and others. Perhaps we can come back and do the full-fledged engagement and involvement, and that can be very significant. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.